What is happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Today's video we're going to be working on the 200 series, installing a Toro bar, which is an off-road animal product. So it wasn't too long ago, I believe, last episode on the 200 series, I just installed the nudge bar, but in the next year or two we've got some pretty cool plans happening with the 200 series. So we're going to be doing quite a bit of traveling, and I didn't really want to risk damaging the vehicle, writing it off. So I decided to bite the bullet and purchase a bull bar, and today's video is going to be a bit of a guide on installing. You guys at home can follow along and save some money on installation fees. So this will make for a pretty easy dismantle, because I did have to rip the whole bumper off to install the nudge bar. So yeah, let's get straight into it.
So taking the bumper off, we have to remove the radiator cowling, and that's just from opening the bonnet and pressing down on the center button of the clips to unlock it and removing it with a trim tool.
That's probably the scariest part of doing cars now, is that they're all plastic plug-ins, and yeah, trying to take them off is very, very scary.
Now to remove the bumper, we also have to remove the headlight trims and the grille, as well as where the factory tie down points are.
Okay, now that the nudge bar's off, let's start taking the grille off. So you've got one bolt here, here and here, so 3 across the top, and then the rest are all popped in by the plastic. So once those are removed, a little bit of force takes the whole grille off.
Now that the grille is removed, we got to remove the 3 screws on either side of the wheel arch, as well as a couple of clips and nuts that hold the bottom of the bumper to the main frame. Once the bumper is off, we need to remove the reinforcement bar that's attached to the chassis by undoing the 3 nuts on either side.
Alrighty, last thing we've got to do for taking off this nudge bar is removing these brackets. But basically, I believe you do have to remove this off the front of the chassis anyway. I think that's the supporting bracket for the bumper. So it's just 3 nuts on that side and 1 nut in the middle. That's the same on the driver's side as well.
Now we can start installing the bull bar, and that includes putting the grille back onto the vehicle and getting the bull bar brackets ready on the chassis.
These are the 2 brackets that hold on the bull bar to the car itself, and they just go on the front of the chassis here once the bumper reinforcement is removed. Now what I love about these is that they're red, which looks pretty cool, and the recovery point is integrated into the actual bracket itself. So that just gets placed on like so, either side, and we're just going to hand tight the nuts on so we can make sure that the bull bar fits on the bracket first time. Now on the side of the vehicle, you can see it comes with these like little plastic bumper retainers. You have to take those off, which is just held in by a little clip in the middle here, and I've just given it a bit of a paint job just with some enamel paint, some black, so when the bull bar does go on, you don't really see the white in the background. It kind of blends in with the bar. So make sure you do mask it up so you can avoid any overspray on your vehicle.
Now make sure you guys do have a couple of boys to give you a hand to install the bull bar. It is quite heavy. Thank you to my Uncle Steve and Uncle Peter for giving us a hand with that. Now the longest part of this whole installation is getting this bull bar to line up. There's so much variation, so just make sure you spend the time so you can get that perfect gap between the headlight and the bull bar. Battery specifications recommend 15 to 20 mil space.
We'll get on to our torque wrench. So you want at least 15 to 20 mil around the whole side of the car. All right, literally took us 2 hours to get it straight, but we got there in the end.
This bull bar uses the factory fog lights and factory sensors, so you do have to remove this from your OEM bumper and install it onto the new brackets for the bull bar.
Last night I got a little bit carried away and cut the mud flaps to suit the side panels for the bull bar, so they're basically ready to go. I've also cable tied all the wiring for the fog lights and the sensors, and they just hook back up to your factory location. So I made that all nice and neat there, cable tied it to some factory holes, so it's not going to be wobbling around for driving. These are the two brackets that hold the whole bull bar together. As you can see, you've got 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4th bolt up there. That is what does your tilt as well as up and down position. These 3 here and one on the other side of the chassis, that is what changes the bull bar horizontally left to right. So you have a lot of adjustment in this bull bar. Now, while Uncle is putting the side panels on, I thought I'd mention the new winch that I purchased. So basically, when you're adding a lot of weight to the front of your vehicle, you do have to adjust your suspension accordingly, because it does change the camber and things like that in your suspension. Now, usually when you do install the bull bar, a lot of people do install the winch. It's exactly what I've done. Now, the winch that I went with today is the heavy duty XDM 12,000 pound winch. So it's more of an entry level electric winch. It's not like your Warn or Bush Range or anything like that, but they were on special for 500 bucks. I haven't really heard any bad reviews about them. So basically, it's just a cheap insurance for me to put into the vehicle, and at least then when I do set up the suspension, it's ready to go. So if this does ever shit itself one day, I can put a new one in later down the track, but I'm sure this will be fine for the time being.
Now you can see here where I've mounted the control box. You can mount these on top of the winch, but you do have to cut out a factory camera location mount, which is something I did not want to do to my car. Now, last thing we got to install on this bull bar is the spotlights. So I went with the Steady Pro X's. Basically, they have a really good reputation, and for the price, I don't think you can go wrong. Now, mounting these up to the bull bar was pretty straightforward. There was only one hole on either side that Toro bar allow. So I put a bit of masking tape down and drilled out 2 new holes for the brackets. So we got ourselves a really solid mount, especially when you're doing any corrugation or anything like that. You don't want your spotlights to come loose. Prior to fitting up the brackets, I deburred the holes and just put a tab of paint so we can prevent any rust from happening. Now, the cool thing about the Steady Pros is that you can actually change the surround color. So out of the box they do come in grey, but they do come with orange, which would match my winch perfectly.
I got a little carried away with the Smiley and decided to do the pandemic edition. Oh, how good. Alrighty, the wiring harness. The last step to do so we can finish off the bull bar installation. Now, pretty straightforward with your Steady harness. You've got 2 wires that go to your battery. Now, this has been changed up, so I've actually cut it, taken away that blade fuse holder, because I'm actually running the midis on top of the battery, which I'll show you in a second. You have your wire that goes to your switch, so I've actually cut that off because I'm going to hook it up to the other relay that runs the LED light bar, so they can all turn on at the same time. I don't really need the light bar and the spotties to turn on at different times. This here is straight to your high beam, so you've actually got a high beam harness that you connect up, so it's all plug and play. And at the bottom here, you have your 2 Deutsch plugs that go to your spotlights. So as you can see, it's really thick cable. It's all waterproof connections, and all tin wire as well, so it's not going to corrode or anything like that.
So I already had a wiring harness for the little steady light bar installed before, but all I did was tap into the switch, so I have myself a single switch to turn on the spotties and the LED bar with separate relays. Here is the plug that goes into the back of the headlight. I've now epoxied that in. This here is the mount that we made that goes onto the factory horn. We've just made a bracket so we can fit the two relays together, so it's all nice and neat, and then all the wires run down underneath. We can start testing all our lights.
Well, there you have it, guys. That is the Toro bar installation on the 200 series, as well as the XDM winch and the steady spotlight. The last thing we really got to do is get this thing all wheel aligned and get it off-road ASAP. Now, we are going down south in the next couple of weeks over the Christmas holidays, so if you guys might be interested in a little vlogging video on the 200 series, make sure you leave a comment below, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.